So I want to share some results of this survey that we did. Of course, we asked in the survey a lot of questions on the program, what should be in the program, but we also had questions with regards to the teaching practice and how, if teachers were tackling an ocean topic, how they did it, and what they need. So the survey was run in 17 countries. It ran from March to May last year, and we had about 297 teachers who filled in the survey. One of the first questions was, do you teach about the ocean? And I was very surprised to see that, wow, a lot of them, it was 92%, they did something on the ocean. Of course, this is also, it can be a large bias because we did not take a sample of the entire teaching community. We spread this survey via our contacts. So it is via the ocean literacy community that they found teachers. So, but just to say that these teachers who filled in the survey, they did tackle the ocean topics. And if they didn't, I think the first reason why the most, if you can see this with all the small screens. So I think the major reason was in the resources that they use in the school, in the classroom, there was no ocean in it. So we see that in Belgium, we see that often that you have a handbook for your entire year, you work with this handbook, and if there's no ocean in it, you're not teaching about the ocean. Of course, the curricula, that is something that you know very well, that there's little ocean in the curricula, but we will come back to that. And then the other reasons were quite surprising. A lack of opportunities for outdoor teaching. So when teachers think about the ocean, I think a large part of the teachers, they think about going outside to the sea, to the coast. And then, of course, a lack of knowledge and understanding of ocean topics. I expected that as well. So these were the major ones. When we asked in which subjects do you address ocean topics, you can see it already very clearly. I highlighted them in the sciences. The ocean is taught the most. But don't be mistaken, there's many other courses where the ocean is taught. So arts, history, technology, languages, math, sports. You can teach about the ocean in almost any course if you want. But you will see, of course, the sciences, they are on the top of the list. Then what topics do you teach? Well, if you look at it, ocean pollution is number one. We have experienced this as well when we were looking for projects of teachers on the ocean for our handbook of the Blue School initiative. And there we would find that many teachers, they tackle marine litter. Of course, ecology, ocean and climate is also taught a lot, and then biology, conservation, and then some ocean hazards. So here's a bit of a long list where the ocean, where teachers teach about the ocean. Then, how do you teach about the ocean? Mainly lectures and readings, accompanied, of course, by films and documentaries, some visual aids. And then you will see that there is a large part of the teachers who also do outdoor activities, but not everybody does this. And yeah, lab experiments. And then if you go to the right side, what type of resources? would you like to have to teach about the ocean? Then the majority chose videos and graphics. So visual aids, websites, lesson plans, apps, they're all high in the list. And then books and literature. Yeah. We continue to ask on professional development. We of course asked the question if there was a need for professional development in this program of Blue Schools. You will see very clearly that there is a need for professional development, a strong need. And then how, that is very interesting for you, how should this be provided? And then the majority choose a workshop. And of course, support by scientists. And that surprised me, collaboration between schools. So it was kind of teachers teaching each other. Huh? That is also high on the list. If I have to move this because I cannot see my entire, excuse me, my entire screen. Below is the Mooc. So if you prefer, setting up a Mooc is pretty complex. So if you have to choose between a Mooc and a workshop, a teacher prefers a workshop. But as I said, it has a lot of regional differences. In Belgium, for instance, you will see them rocking up at a conference, but going to a separate workshop is something that not many teachers do here. We had another, talking about professional development, we had another workshop where we asked the same question: what topics would you like to see a webinar or workshop on? And then we let them choose between the 3 main topics that were in the Blue School initiative: climate and ocean, healthy and clean ocean, and food from the ocean. And there you see that climate seems to be on the top of the choices. And then teachers could fill in freely what they would like. And there you see biodiversity as a very big topic of interest to teachers. Then I think that's the last bit, with language. Would you like it? And then you see, oh my God, it has to be in a native language. For us, that was a bit of a problem, tackling 24 languages. So we can only do this in English, of course, but you see that there is a preference, of course, for having a course in native language, but also having on the right side resources over here, the handbook in your native language. Voilà, a bit of a wrap up. That is what we concluded from the entire survey, that we find that the ocean is not enough integrated in existing school resources. So it's very terrestrial oriented school resources. The curriculum, yeah, that is, you all know that it's an obstacle. There's not enough ocean in the curriculum. You see that it's mostly taught in science classes, but it seems to fit in many other subjects. Outdoor learning is of great importance in marine education, but not always possible for teachers. Of course, not all teachers live near the coast, and if they kind of live near the coast, they need some funding to get the students to the coast. Then ocean topics can be complex, so there is need for professional development and support, preferably by scientists. Visual aids, if you're developing resources, please provide a lot of visual aids that are very helpful for the teacher. then yeah, have it in the native language of the teacher. And then why create a complex Mooc if you can do a teacher workshop? So that was the findings of the survey. Then European SchoolNet conducted an analysis of the school curriculum that was in countries here listed: Portugal, Belgium, France, Germany, UK, Finland, Romania, Greece, and Croatia, for both primary and secondary education. And I did a curriculum search of all the keywords listed here in the native language. And then they looked, okay, where does the ocean fit in the curriculum? I have a very short analysis here, but you can find the curriculum. I will put the link in the chat after this analysis there. And that's very detailed in which subjects you can find it. But overall, you will see that indeed in primary education, the ocean is part of the natural science and environmental education, depending on what is taught in primary education, because in some countries, they don't even speak about the word science. So, and that is very wide here, as you can see, what is taught. So, and definitely there's a lot of attention towards sustainable future, our livelihoods and our impact on the planet in primary education for all the countries listed. Then secondary education, as we already know that it's predominantly taught in science classes. So it is in the curriculum of other courses such as languages and arts. There's no ocean to be found. It's up to the teacher to create a learning context with the ocean. So in the curriculum, it's the science. And then there's also, you will see, of course, an emphasis on the environmental problems and also ecosystem services provided by the ocean. So I cannot speak of the entire analysis here of the curriculum, but I can share the few short findings of this. Overall in Europe. It's just a sample of a few countries, but you see that the importance of the ocean as a whole for the earth and for our well-being, that is absolutely not addressed at all in any curriculum. You will find that in a curriculum, it's just isolated topics somewhere and not at all connected, especially in a multidisciplinary way. So it does reflect the ocean blindness of society as well. And then, you will see the ocean. It's covered science, sustainable education, and environmental education. Voilà. And then the third one, I want to share a few findings of the focus group meetings we did. And these meetings, they were not only with teachers, but also with scientists and educators and people like you who are in here. We had about 8 meetings, and 4 of these meetings were within a country like Portugal, France, Ireland, and Romania, and 4 others were more on a sea basin level, where people from different countries participated. And here we actually went more into depth. We did not ask the same questions as in the survey, but they were based on the same questions. And a lot of this focus group questions were, of course, on building the program of European Blue School. But there are some interesting things that came out that for this meeting are interesting to share. So let's talk again about the curriculum. What did those people from the community think about it? And then we see that in some focus groups, there was a consensus of people saying, yes, we should always establish a link to the curriculum. And in other focus groups, we had like, no. In some countries, the curriculum is not flexible enough to link it. It makes it too complicated, so don't link it. Or the ocean is not in the curriculum, so don't bother. Or teach somewhere else in project education, extra curricular activities. So all these things. So here we saw that there was a lot of regional differences of how important is the curriculum and what value should we give to it. So we thought to talk about it on a European scale, if there is a link to the curriculum as a developer of ocean resources, please provide it because the teachers need it. And if it's not, don't worry about it. Just do a project, after school activity, or a project that tackles transversal objectives in schools. So that was our conclusion. Another one that we asked was, okay, if we want to find a way around the curriculum, we can let schools develop a project related to the ocean. And then we discussed if that was possible for teachers and for the developers. And they say that developing a project is really not easy because it takes a lot of time to set it up, time to manage it, just time to guide the students. And that doesn't always fit in with the curriculum, and it can be quite difficult as well. So, and you should have a lot of motivation to do a project with your classroom, because it requires also different skills. You just don't follow a handbook. You have to be very creative and be a good manager of this. So we are asking in the European Blue School program something not so easy from teachers. So we do have to offer them maximum support, not only as developers of resources and activities, but the schools also need support from their school director to get some time to do a project, preferably by the school ministry, because not all countries teachers are free to just set up a project somewhere. That is something that we discovered as well. I guess this is the last one. What was also an important question was, how can we create a kind of network between a school and ocean professionals and the wider community? And we discovered that in a country like Portugal, who has already the program running, Escola Azul, it seems to be quite easy to find, for a school to find a partner outside the school and to engage with the community, being parents or local municipalities or local restaurant or whatever. That seems to be possible, but in other countries, that is an obstacle to tackle because the school is a closed environment, is not always open. So for the Blue School program, we really decided we have to put this in because schools need the expertise of an ocean professional in their teaching, but the resources as well. It can be useful for funding, and you need to bring your project more out to the world to create kind of bigger impact. But yeah, so our findings where, of course, learning outside the classroom is not always possible for schools, and it does require probably some funding. Not always. Schools sometimes do it without funding, but sometimes you just need some money to get students out of the classroom. And it can take a while to build a connection with schools. We hope with this program, we can do this on a more long term as well. That schools can really rely on scientists or a marine institute to do regular workshops or activities with them. That would be a really good outcome of this program. Voilà, I think you have it. I have here some literature that is relevant to this topic. I will share the slides with you after this presentation. Voilà. So a few more words on the Blue School, European Blue School program. How can EMSE members support the Blue Schools? I guess my main question is, of course, here after this slide, I'm going to ask you to share some of your resources. I will provide you a link and you can just type in your resources and we will share this with the teachers in our network. But it would also be nice if you could mentor a local school and develop a school project with them. It doesn't have to be big, but it would be nice if all EMSE members could do that. I think that would actually be great. Okay, I have to stop sharing now again. To give you this link. Hold on. I am just not so fast by changing from this program to this program. Okay. My question to you is, you have a lot of resources and activities to share with teachers. Can you fill that in this page? I will show you also the page. It's called Padlet. Do you know Padlet? Share screen. Padlet, it looks like this. And you can go to the pink plus circle and type in your resources, and then we can have an entire page full of resources from this session. Voilà. So, do you have any questions? Or do you want to share something?
Question, Evie. Those abbreviations FG and FGI, what did all those mean?
Those was the acronym of the workshop. So FGP was Focus Group Portugal.
Okay.
FGR Romania. Yeah, Focus Group Romania.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, the results you put up didn't seem much different than the US in terms of why they weren't used, why the ocean wasn't being used much, wasn't, like needed more workshops, needed more support, can't find a way to work it into the curriculum. The school won't give me enough latitude. It's similar here. Although some schools, it's really up to the teacher. In most cases, it's up to the teacher. Although there are a few schools that are called magnet science schools and their focus is marine science. There's one like an hour away in the state of Connecticut, and that's everything there is based on marine science. Yeah. But that's a rarity.
Yeah, there's indeed a lot of individual differences. Alan?
Thank you, Evie. I was just going to follow up on that, really. Were you able to identify some national contexts or maybe even regional contexts where it's easier to get this ocean literacy taught? And maybe what were the reasons for that? Is it curriculum or more flexible curriculum?
Well, there can be a focus both of the school. So the school decides to focus, like Bob said, okay, the school is really focusing on science, and then the teachers get more freedom and they add more courses to the curriculum that are science related. So that is certainly something we find. But some curricula are very general and don't really provide strict guidelines as well. So a teacher can do his own thing, give his own course. And then sometimes there's just, I've seen that there's a push from the government as well to have teachers that do something and they say, okay, you have to follow this. You see this in Romania. You have to follow this training and you have to give that then. And then that happens as well. So it can be top down. Yeah, Jan?
Kind of follows on that as well, but my master's results, they weren't, you know, the super significant in that they didn't have a huge sample, but it was a study to look at you know, what are teachers saying as well here in the UK, and what is their appetite for becoming blue schools. And one aspect that came up that I don't think we ever talk about, very, very rarely actually, but came out quite strongly, was like senior support in the school. So if we can, instead of going directly to the teachers and then expect them to go and fight the wars in their school to try and get buy-in from their senior leaders to teach and to do the projects and all that kind of stuff, perhaps I think we're missing an opportunity to like just try and go to head teachers and CEOs of big school groupings and that kind of stuff. And then there was other normal we expected indicators, but like barriers like school size and funding and curriculum and blah blah blah, lack of knowledge was a big one. But I think there was an opportunity identified that we're there with support, senior support, that we never really talk about.
Yeah, definitely true. Yeah. Any other of these findings that you want to share, Ilian? Because you did also a questionnaire, or how did you do it?
Yeah, so that research was my master's, and it was 2017, I think, and it was at the time building on the Sea Change Blue School consultation work that I was helping with in the UK context. So with the masters, I did questionnaire of teachers, like a teacher survey. So it did cover teachers across the UK, well, mainly England, actually, just England, and a couple of interviews, more in-depth, semi-structured interviews with local teachers here. So like I said, you know, I don't think the results were publishable in that sense, because the sample wasn't strong enough. But from the questionnaires and from the interviews, it's not that there was an appetite. That's what I was trying to figure out, if whether there is appetite for even us pushing this forward. If there is an appetite, why are we doing it? And also what lessons we could learn from the environmental for sustainable development field, because they are a bit further ahead than us. in integration with curricula. And it's not that there is an appetite. What came out is that teachers want really good resources and like really good. They don't want things that have been put together without thinking. CPD and the need for them to become more confident is important. So nothing new there. But for me, the surprising thing out of my bit of research was school leadership. We could probably win, take a few steps quicker if we maybe had some tailored workshops for school leaders, or yeah. So it's not, because if we can convince them, they will go like, oh, we've got to do this amazing thing in our school.
No,
Yeah.
it's true, definitely true. Yeah, Mark?
I was just kind of thinking today, well, you were talking, and from my experience with everything like this, in the end, the schools that are going to do it are the schools that are going to do it. And it's usually down to a really enthusiastic teacher. And if that really enthusiastic teacher really wants to do it, they will do it. And I think everything we've said is correct. We have to give them support, really good resources, help them deal with their senior management. All those things are still true. But I wonder sometimes, I think what we really want is to try and convince teachers who aren't interested to be interested, and then we get really depressed when no one turns up to our workshops, or they come to our workshop and we never hear from them again, And I wonder whether another approach might be is that the enthusiastic teachers are not necessarily passionate about ocean literacy. They're just passionate teachers. And they're always looking for something exciting or new to do. And if someone from a history society gets there first and says, we've got this really cool thing to do on history, that's what they do. So it's almost like, do we need to think of a way of, because there's more of those teachers out there we haven't met. Do we need to focus on finding those teachers we know are there and say, you are really enthusiastic, you're a great teacher, so next time you're enthusiastic, why not do ocean literacy, and give it to them, rather than getting disheartened by trying to convince teachers who are too busy or they can't afford it, or I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how do we find, there are more teachers out there who would want to do this, but we haven't found them yet.
Yeah.
On a related point, a comment I was going to make was the possibility of strategic partnerships. So in the way that Mark's describing, in the UK, we've got the Geographical Association, which serves the needs of the geography teacher community. We've got the Association of Science Educators, and there's subject associations for history and citizenship and the like. And it might be a strategic partnership with those kind of organizations who have annual conferences, who have journals, professional journals and the like, to try and get in through that direction. So I'm sure there's equivalent subject associations in other European and national contexts as well. So
I always found that to be successful, working together with the teacher association. They have their network and you just rock up and do your thing and they're enthusiastic about it. And what we try to do in the European Blue School program is to establish the same kind of partnership with the large school labels, such as Eco Schools and the Climate Action Project. And Eco Schools is very difficult. They want to do their own thing and they don't want to have anybody saying to them what to do, even though I think they want to tackle the ocean, but they want them to make the choice to do that. But with Climate Action Project, we have a success because they have they have, I don't know, 100,000s of schools who do this project every year. They had David Attenborough just giving a free talk on their event, And he said to me, okay, I want to integrate the ocean. Can you write me a dossier about it? And then we'll put it on our website and we'll do a campaign on the ocean. I was like, all right, I'll do that. So if we could put the ocean in all these bigger things, then it just becomes normal to teach about the ocean like it is to teach about the forest or whatever environment. So strategic partnerships, but also between just a marine institute and a school, that seems to work as well. So the school can always rely on you for a nice activity with their students. They appreciate that because they can see something in your institute that they can never do in school, or you have equipment that they don't have. That is all that I think that they will appreciate. And if you do something exciting with them, that's also nice. Although not too exciting. I always thought teachers would be happy if I take them on a boat. They're not. They get seasick and they never want to work with you again. So it's a balance of excitement. Yeah.
I know that this probably doesn't, you know, help get closer, but I think thinking, Mark, about what you were saying about if they want to do it, they will do it. I think it's more about them realizing they have to do it rather than, you know, and if everybody's doing it, they will, even if for the wrong reasons, will eventually realize they have to do it too. But I think one thing we have to keep reminding ourselves is that why are they not thinking about it? So like, because we often, far too often, keep coming back to the schools working with the ocean and thinking about these cool extracurricular and like project-based are incredible for the children, and there's loads of evidence suggesting that, but they are the ones who don't have any other problems. They don't have to deal with kids who are hungry at school, or who haven't had a shower, or, you know, having abuse at work, at home. And do you see what I mean? Like, there's priorities in people's lives, including schools. So there is also another opportunity there, and I'm not saying, you know, we can do it like suddenly or easily, not at all, but this like almost like ocean as medicine, not as you must have this knowledge. No, it's like is a gateway to, do you see what I mean? Spinning it in different ways, and as a gateway of betterness and happiness and health. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's
And
not.
and I guess almost like, well, especially now, my limited experience in my current project is that when the schools went back after our last lockdown, we approached them again and said, are you ready to work with us and do outdoor stuff? And I thought they'd say no, but they bit our hands off because they wanted to get the kids outside, and they didn't care. They just happened to be on a beach. They just wanted to get the kids outside in the fresh air, connecting with each other. So this was primary, but it ended up being around well-being, because that's what schools, you know, in the schools we've talked to, that they have got lots of competing stuff still, but they were really keen. Let's just get the kids out. You know, you do whatever you want to do with them. We don't really care. Let's just get them outside on the beach. So I think it is quite a good opportunity, if that's the right word at the moment, to do what Aliane said and go in through that route. And some of those schools are schools that we're working with are struggling. They're from disadvantaged areas and things, and you know, they don't know about the sea, and so it is a good opportunity to work with those schools. But yeah, I think that's really true.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody wants to share something on this topic or react?
Yeah, I can share a little bit. So we're just starting a new project, and it's called Seascapes, and it's instead of, you know, sort of looking at the landscape, we're looking at the seascape, and it's the whole coast from the River Tees to the River Tyne, and so it's a long stretch of our coastline. And the project is that I'm delivering is the education and engagement elements of it. So it's teaching kids about the science and marine biology and habitats and stuff, but it's also more of a holistic approach as well. So I'm going to be doing lots of just being at the beach and having fun at the beach and playing with stones and making things like crafts and getting kids to sort of experience the beach in other ways than they would if they were there with their parents. So interacting more with it. And some of that is creative. So it's looking at the cross-curricular techniques that we can use. But there's also activities that we're going to be doing that are a little bit out there. Like we're going to take, I think it's 30 schools to swimming pools and fill the swimming pools with mock kelp forests and get them snorkeling. So we're going to teach them how to snorkel and just sort of providing loads of different opportunities for kids to engage with ocean environments in different ways, so that whatever their interest, hopefully it'll be catered for in using different methods and different age groups. And the ocean obviously is really important, and they need to learn the science and they need to learn about climate change and what we can do about it and its mitigation. But we also need to try and give them, one of the key things that I'm keen on doing is try to give them a real connection to the coastline. And it's sort of a little bit touchy-feely hippie, but they need to have a connection that sort of drives that interest to find out more, to spend more time and see more things. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on. But another part that I really like about the project is it's not just about the science and the place, but it's also about the history and the culture of fishing villages and marine careers, and it sort of brings a lot of like local history and heritage, as well as looking at blue careers in the future as well. So it's quite a cool project, so I thought I'd share a little bit about it, and I don't know if it might be of interest or some ideas that people could maybe adapt and use themselves. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Eliane.
Thank you, Dorena. Did you put it on the Padlet page?
I will. Shall I put a link to the web page?
Yeah.
There's not much on there because we've literally, like, I've only been enrolled since Monday, so there's not a lot planned yet.
We'll have to, I've just put in the chat to you privately, Dorinda, we'll have to have a chat because our projects are very similar, and mine's ending and yours is starting, but
yeah,
a similar thing that we're doing, I think that idea of like being creative. So we're working with a youth drama academy in Somerset, and we're going to do we're calling it an action, and we're just going to do a big circle on the beach in front of Minehead and on the town of Minehead. And the plan is that over 24 hours, on the hour, every hour, some young people are going to be there doing something about the ocean. And we're going to try and find like young environmental activists in Somerset and link them up with the drama students and youth clubs. And then they've got to, it's entirely up to them what they do, but on the hour, every hour, right through the day and through the night, there'll be something going on in this circle in the sand. So quite excited by that, really. I don't know how it'll work, but I think, yeah, those different approaches are really good, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. You can cater something for any type of person with the ocean. Yeah. Whatever your thing is, you can find it there. Well, I guess. So please share your resources on the Padlet even after this, when this is finished. And I added in the chat box the results of what you think teachers need. I can just present them very quickly. Voilà. So this is the word cloud that you have developed with, of course, in the middle, support, resources, and training. So you already knew this before I started to talk. You already know this all from our experience. Okay, I'll stop sharing again. But I see some other interesting stuff as well. Huh? Hands-on food. Always give them food. Where they can get help. Yeah, a lot of teachers don't know where to find us. You think they would know, but they don't. So it's very important to stay in the community of teachers as well, to be present at all their conferences and workshops, to stay in contact with them. Voilà. I'll stop sharing. Well, I thank everybody for this session.